The rally stage belongs as much to the tarmac drives of the country house estate as to the rutted gravel tracks of the forest. Weston Park, near Telford, is typical of the former, and having been used for the RAC rally over a number of years, was the perfect location for the inaugural Historic Rally Festival, held on the 21st and 22nd of August 2021. Saturday saw scrutineering and the official start in nearby Telford, with the action kicking off the following morning. Although very much centred on the 70s and 80s, a truly eclectic mix had been gathered by the organisers to entertain the 7,500-strong crowd. From Bob Beale's somewhat smoky 1964 Volkswagen Notchback to Steve Rockingham's rapid 2002 Skoda Octavia, seeing some of the most iconic cars of rallying hurtling through the parkland was an experience that was to be savoured. The notion of favourites within such an event is an impossible absurdity, but Mick Stafford's V8-powered Chevrolet Firenze Can-Am, a powerhouse of tyre-shredding exuberance accompanied everywhere by an irresistible feral howl from the side-exit exhausts, was undoubtedly a crowd-pleaser. Moving away from the wildly extrovert, that doyen of post-war rallying, Lancia, was well represented with the more subtle and delicately proportioned Fulvia, along with twin Stratos replicas and jewel-like 037. Homegrown fare showed not only the variety to be found within Group 4, but also the strength of the British motorsport industry during the last hurrah of the small rear-wheel drive rally car. Chevette HS vied for attention alongside a brace of Lotus Sunbeams, and of course a multiplicity of Ford Escorts. All sang the same high-revving four-pot song, albeit in different keys, while the TR7 V8 stood apart with its unique baritone accompaniment. Short, punchy, and sideways wherever possible, there is an undeniable excitement to seeing these cars being driven at their limit. However, should your taste lie away from on-demand oversteer, then there were also some interesting front-wheel drive cars to be found on the stage. From 1275 GT Mini to Fiesta, Alitalia liveried Fiat Ritmo, and the legendary Louise Aitken Walker piloting a Peugeot 205 Rallier. Less spectacular perhaps, but fast and all driven with verve and commitment. The crew of the 205 in particular seemed to be having a ball as they ploughed their own unique line out of the water splash. Whether from the more simple, less corporate world of the 60s or the high-tech, turbo-twittering 90s, all the cars looked at home against the timeless sculpted grounds of the park. But it was the products of the 80s that were the anticipated highlight for many. That mad, bad, adrenaline rush era defined by the first-generation turbo cars in F1, by the ground effect Group C cars at Le Mans, and by the Group B cars in rallying. Of these, the world of rallying stood apart regarding the promise, the exhilaration, the insanity, and the inevitable tragedy. Despite the lows, it was a magical time, with memories of lining the M1 roundabout to catch a glimpse of Tony Pond in iconic computer vision liveried 6R4 as he came out of the stage at Donington, or watching Juha Kankkunen fire the stubby Peugeot through the dusky woodland of Chatsworth with brake discs glowing. These cars have run at various events in recent years, but this was a chance to see them in their natural habitat, to see them where they had competed for glory under the gaze of a worldwide audience. Although actually Group A spec, Ian Hill's Manta gave a taste of the outgunned but fast offering from Opel, a favourite underdog against the four-wheel drive factory exotics back in the day. The 037 joins it as the early flag-bearer of a company that, initially at least, didn't dare to think radically enough. The diminutive Lancia looks even prettier in real life than in photos, and its distinctive supercharger whine announces its arrival long before it comes into view. Going away from you, the exposed rear-mounted gearbox leaves no doubt as to the extreme intent, despite being only two-wheel drive. The car that made such thinking outmoded overnight, Audi's Quattro, was represented by two examples showing different stages of development in what became an aggressive arms race for ultimate performance. The stunning Peugeot 205 T16, arguably the most successful Group B contender to hit the gravel, was also present and adequately illustrated the extreme limits of the era, with all four wheels struggling to find grip under acceleration while the exhaust spat sheets of flame on the upchange. 6R4.net's own Dan Ellmore upheld British honours with his now immaculate Metro, bringing some naturally aspirated power to the proceedings. Glossy red paintwork shone under changing skies as the V6 exhaust note, unsoftened by turbos, rang out clear. Poignantly, Harry Toivonen shared the stage with these cars at the wheel of an Evo 9. Harry's younger brother, the dazzlingly talented Henri, perished in a terrible accident while driving a Lancia S4 and consequently helped bring the era to a close. His fate now forever entwined with that of the Group B cars that brought him fame and adulation. At least events like this allow us a small reminder of a time, as dangerous as it was thrilling, that can never return. We have Warner Lewis and Mick Coville to thank for originally conceiving the idea of putting on this European-style, untimed historic rally, and they've worked with Mark Kostandouros and Dan to bring the dream into reality. A sustained effort over the past 4 years that wasn't helped by the COVID pandemic. At the end of all this effort, the historic Rally Festival was able to run as a sanctioned MS-UK event, and in fact has acted as a trial for running similar events in the future. The intent from the start was to provide a stage for the owners to show their cars to the public and to raise money for Rallying for Down Syndrome, with the hope that it will become a regular event. There are already plans to improve the next festival, and the feeling is that this was the first run of an event that will simply go from strength to strength. Whatever happens in the future, those who were afforded this glimpse into the past were left with the impression that they had witnessed something very special indeed, and can only hope that it will indeed flourish.